Good evening and a very warm welcome to Television Tonga's news package for tonight. Making headlines, Tonga commemorates fallen soldiers who lost their lives during the World Wars. Matema Tonga team strikes again with a great victory of 16-0 against Italy, and Her Majesty Queen Anaspao, the patron of the Board of Visitors to Waiora, officiates at a program to close the hospital week at the weekend. These and more stories later on in this bulletin, together with the latest in sports and weather. I'm Fatai Whainga'a with your news for tonight. The Crown Prince, His Royal Highness Te Pōtoa Ulukalala, and Her Royal Highness Crown Princess Sinai Takala Whanakawakilangi Tu'aho officiated at a remembrance program yesterday for fallen soldiers in the battlefield. The remembrance ceremony was held at the Bai CE Cenotaph. Marking the program was laying of wreaths led by the Crown Prince, His Royal Highness Te Pōtoa Ulukalala. The second wreath was laid by the acting Prime Minister Honourable Sami Waipulu, then followed by the diplomatic corps, foreign armed forces personnel in Tonga, and others. The program is held every year at the Commonwealth member countries to commemorate those who have lost their lives during the First and the Second World War for the protection of freedom of their own people. A special prayer was also held and led by church leaders. Present at the occasion were ministers of the Crown, diplomatic corps, Commander of Tonga Defence, Brigadier General Tauaika Ota'ato, and many guests. The Matema Tonga's victory this morning has made Italy's team exit the Rugby World Cup League 2013, whom were on the line to enter the quarterfinals. This comes after the Matema Tonga boys claimed a victory after their match against the Italians this morning at the Shea Halifax Stadium in England, with the scores of 16-0. Therefore, Scotland team from Pool C will enter the quarterfinals, and they are scheduled for a match against the mighty Kiwis team from New Zealand. Kalisi Tuyonuku tells you more.
After the game, the man of the match, Fuifui Moimoi, happily spoke in Tongan on the international television how the team appreciate all the support from all the Tongan fans all over the world.
Timi kotoa ke Tonga kotoa pe whamara ke mau timi wainga World Cup na la ke mawhahako ku wate whalahi ke Tonga kotoa pe ke kau supporta una u hau he support e Team Matema Tonga.
Thanks very much.
During the game, the Tongan boys managed to score 3 tries, which was scored by Willie Manu, Daniel Foster and Benny Derribo. Samson Langi also achieved 2 goals with 1 penalty. The poor performance from the Italian against the Tongan team comes after its draw with Scotland's team with 30 scores each last Sunday. Despite this, Italy topped the table points to enter the quarter-final, but this morning the Matema Tonga boys chased the Italian from the field to pack their bags and exit the competition. In the meantime, the spirit of the Matema Tonga's victory is still witnessed in central Nuku'alofa as people continue to dress in red as part of their support for the team. Also, Radio and Television Tonga's float led the parade from Nuku'alofa towards the Eastern District to show Radio and Television Tonga's full support for the Matema Tonga. The supporter from Pakimoto'i Lapaha rode around the road. Every Christian were praying for the team, and we can see that united we stand and support the team. We put up the Tongan flag worldwide. As you can see the people in their support, this is how Tongans support and glad for such achievement of the team today. The Central Nuku'alofa. Radio and Television Tonga appreciate all the donation from government, local businesses, Tongan cover clubs, and also the public who have donated generously in order to fund the broadcast of all the matches in the Rugby World Cup League 2013, both on Radio and Television Tonga.
The Board of Visitors to Waiala Hospital has collected more than 40,000 pa'anga whilst conducting their fundraising programs during the hospital week. The fundraising programs ended last weekend. The purpose of these fundraising programs is to help with the hospital's most pressing needs. Sinlato reports.
Her Majesty the Queen, Nanaspa'u, officiated at a program to mark the end of Hospital Week, which was held at the Nuku'alofa CBD area. Also present was the Minister of Health, Lord Tuiafitu, the Chairman of the Fundraising Committee of the Board of Visitors to Waiala, Lord Vehala, Foreign Diplomatic Corps, and other guests. The Minister of Health emphasized his ministry's ongoing drive to recognize the theme for the Hospital Week of this year, which focuses on youth's health. It is well appreciated that your committee has recognized during this year's Hospital Week of the importance of the youth's health. It is in line with His Majesty's wish for his people to live a healthy life. If a country is going to live a healthier life, then it would have to start with the health of its people. We will hold on to this year's theme and recognize it for this year's Hospital Week. However, on Friday last week, Tonga Development Bank presented the committee with their donation. The Treasurer of the Board of Visitors to Waiala, Reverend Fionisia Sikalu, says that the donation will be useful in achieving the committee's aims for this year. The target of this fundraiser program is to buy equipment for the Waiala Hospital to help the patients there. Meanwhile, the Assistant Director of Tonga Development Bank's Finance Division, Hasiloni Fungavai, says that the donation they presented are from the staff working at the bank. We believe that if the equipment are up to standard, then the staff at the hospital can do their tasks much better. They hold an important job in the society, caring for the people's lives. Therefore, we believe that what the staff of TDB have collected will be useful to the committee in achieving their target for this year. During the program to end Hospital Week, prizes were also awarded to winners of various competitions held throughout Hospital Week, such as poems and essay writing competitions. For Television Tonga News, I'm Sinilato.
The Chinese counterpart has announced a grant of 15 million pa'anga to Tonga during its second China-Pacific Islands Economic and Development Cooperation Forum held in Guangzhou, China during the weekend. Honourable Prime Minister Lord Tivano and Chinese Vice Premier Wang Ying commits in the meeting to advance ties and economic cooperation between the two nations. The two governments agreed that assistance in sectors such as agriculture and fisheries, which are the bedrock of Tonga's economy and vital food security, can be mutually beneficial for both nations by enhancing exports. Lord Tivano further seeks China's continued cooperation with the development and technical assistance to its livestock industry. The two leaders also reiterated the celebration of the 15 years of diplomatic relations held in Nuku'alofa last week and reaffirmed their adherence to the One China policy. The 15 million pa'anga agreement was signed by the Minister of Finance and National Planning, Honourable Lisette Ankolo, on behalf of the Tongan government. The meeting dialogue gave the government of Tonga an opportunity to acknowledge the government of the People's Republic of China for the positive response to extend the kingdom's loan payment with the Exim Bank. A discussion on necessary frameworks and agreements to accommodate these arrangements continues. The Prime Minister also highlighted the recent infrastructural development and advanced telecommunications technologies to be a fundamental building rock for Tonga's social and economic development, two areas which China can consider providing assistance in. Moreover, China and Tonga agreed to provide cooperation to foster new crown points in clean and green renewable energy. Tonga's delegation to the meeting includes the Honourable Minister of Agriculture, Forestry, Fisheries and Food, Sengsta Saulala, the Honourable Minister of Commerce, Tourism and Labour, Dr. William Latu, the Acting Secretary and Acting Secretary to Cabinet, Ahloto Palu, CEO of Infrastructure, Ringo Fauliu, Deputy Director of Agriculture, Daniela Hoponoa, and Dr. Sione Latu. Local businesses in Tonga should stand firm in times of disaster and also must draft its own continuity plan to ensure a quick recovery. The Tonga Business Enterprise Centre, TBAC, is pushing for this tribe during its 4-day training program opened this morning. Taking part in this program are representatives from local business entrepreneurs and stakeholders from the government, which aims at ensuring disaster preparedness. The guest of honour at the opening event was the Acting Prime Minister, Honourable Sami Waipulu. Speaking to Radio and Television Tonga News, he says this is part of the government and TBAC's collaboration to ensure that all businesses have a plan in place for disasters. The government is supporting this initiative because natural disasters are out of harm control. However, the public can reduce its consequences by acting at the right time and catering for the public soon to ensure economic stability. Meanwhile, the TPAC's Vice President, Paula Tamepiao, says despite the differences within their roles in the business sector, they must stand together as one team and tackle the impact of natural disasters.
This kind of thing is not just for the big businesses. It's so for all the businesses in Tonga. Small to big, you need to be prepared so that when an emergency happens, you get back to operation as soon as you can, right? And do your normal operations and provide the service that you normally provide for the community.
The 4-day meeting aims at highlighting the business's role in taking the lead in all economic activities in the kingdom. Attending the opening of the workshop was New Zealand High Commissioner to Tonga, Mark Talbot, Australian High Commissioner, and many others. China has offered Pacific Island country a $1 billion concessionary loan for infrastructure developments. Radio New Zealand International says the China Daily reports the assistance has been offered to countries in a region which have diplomatic ties with Tonga, Tonga included. The loan is part of a package of measures including 2,000 scholarships over the next 4 years. The purpose is to train local technicians and provide more medical facilities and Chinese medical teams in the region. The China Daily also reported China's aim to increase trade in the agriculture and forestry sectors, continue projects that promotes Chinese farming methods and also investing in the green energy facilities. Chinese Vice Premier Wang Yang made the announcement at the China Pacific Island Countries Economic Development and Cooperation Forum, which was held in Guangzhou. Tonga's Prime Minister Lord Divano led Tonga's delegation to the Economic Forum. Attending the meeting were representatives from Micronesia, Samoa, Papua New Guinea, Vanuatu, Cook Islands, Niue and Fiji. Chinese media reports during the forum that China's Deputy Premier Wang developed a co-partnership with the delegates from the Pacific Island countries. The Speaker of Parliament, Lord Fafanua, hopes to engage Parliament with the public that initiated an art competition that got the public's involvement. The themes for the art competition was Tonga in the Present, Tonga in the Future, or Tonga's Parliament. Silatu tells you more.
Walter Holoketuai won first prize of 1,000 pa'anga and other prizes. It was presented by the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Lord Tuihateho. In an interview with Radio and Television Tonga News, the Deputy Clerk of Parliament, Dr. Sione Vikilani, says the competition was divided into 2 categories, the college students and the youth. They are to do their art and hand it in together with their interpretation of their art. Most of the students handed in their art, and it was about Parliament, and they had their own interpretation. One person had an art piece about Tonga today and Tonga in the future. His art portrayed Tonga in the present, being in poverty and the bronze between the schools, but in the future, Tonga will be wealthy and the schools are in peace. We looked at the artist's creativity and originality. Meanwhile, here's what Walter Holaketwai has to say about his art piece. I used weaving for my art. It is one of our traditional and cultural tasks. I chose it so that it will show how time has gone by and the Western ways are mixed with our own traditional Tongan ways. How I see the future is that more things will be done in the Western style as it is much more easier. Mr. Holaketwai adds that he hopes that this competition will continue on well into the future so that it will showcase the youth's talents. The judges for the art competition were the delegates who attended the regional parliament meeting that was held here in Nuku'alofa last week, amongst others.
And that's the local news. Sport is up next after this break.